Welcome, radiant souls, both longtime lion hearts and curious newcomers, to Golden Fortune Leo, where we dive deep into the fire, the courage, and the very soul of the chosen ones. Today's journey? We're cracking open a truth many don't dare explore. Why is Leo so lonely? And trust me, the reasons may surprise you, but not in a clickbait way. This isn't your average astrology fluff. This is soul talk. Now, let's start with the obvious. Leos don't enter a room, they arrive. And when they do, the atmosphere shifts like someone turned the dimmer switch to full-on Broadway. Spines straighten. Eyebrows rise. Suddenly, everyone remembers their manners. That's the Leo illusion, radiant, bold, magnetic. But here's what most people miss. Behind that spotlight lies a silence. A deep one. One I've seen time and time again in my decades studying both astrology and human nature. You see, Leos are often crowned with charisma, but rarely offered true understanding. It's the cost of being born under the sun. You shine for others, but few ever think to ask how your core is doing. Behind the roaring laughter, the bold opinions, the unapologetic style, is a heart so vast it could power a small city grid. And yet, that heart? Often unseen, misunderstood, or worse, taken for granted. This is the burden of the chosen ones. The world expects strength from you, Leo, but rarely offers a safe space for your softness. I once read a line in a dusty Buddhist sutra that struck me like a lightning bolt. To feel deeply is not a weakness. It is the beginning of awakening. And if that's not Leo energy, I don't know what is. Because despite your pride, and let's be honest, sometimes it's the kind of pride that won't even let you ask for help carrying groceries, you still crave connection. Not shallow praise, but that soul-to-soul recognition that says, I see you, not just your shine. And here's the kicker. In the year of triumph 2025, this longing is rising to the surface. It's not just about being seen anymore, it's about being known. Truly, deeply known. And that means this might be the year Leo stops performing and starts revealing. Scary? A little. Necessary? Absolutely. Now don't worry, I haven't gone full monk on you. There's still room here for drama, glam, and a bit of Leo-level sass. But what I hope you'll take away today is this: being lonely doesn't mean you're broken. Sometimes, it just means your energy is so bright, most people don't know how to stand close without burning themselves. So maybe, just maybe, you're not too much, they were just not enough. Stick with me, dear lions. We're only getting started. From the moment a Leo takes their first steps, heck, sometimes even before they can walk, the world starts handing them an invisible crown. Not a shiny, jewel-encrusted one, but something heavier. A crown forged from unspoken expectations. Be strong. Be brave. Be the leader. It's like someone cast them in the lead role of a movie they didn't audition for and forgot to hand them the script. I've studied astrology and human psychology for decades, and I can tell you, no sign gets typecast quite like Leo. By the time they're in kindergarten, they're already practicing their campaign speeches and comforting the other kids. It's adorable, until it's exhausting. What people don't always see is the cost of carrying that crown. Leos are pros at the I'm fine face, and not just fine, we're talking red carpet, Oscar-level performances. But let's not kid ourselves, even the king of the jungle curls up into a quiet little house cat when the world goes to sleep. Behind closed doors, many Leos cry the tears they never let anyone see, fearing that showing pain would make them look, well, human. And that's the real tragedy. Because the chosen ones, yes, even those born to burn brighter than most, need a safe space to flicker sometimes. Even the sun sets, my friends. The truth is, Leo's pride is both armor and prison. They'd rather wrestle a lion than say, I'm not okay. So they patch up their own wounds, perform emotional surgery in the dark, and walk back out into the world like nothing happened. No fanfare. No medals. Just sheer willpower and a little mascara. Let's be real, some of you Leos have turned "I got this" into a lifestyle brand. But here's what I've learned in my years of study: it's not weakness to need support. It's wisdom to know when your own fire needs a little tending. And if nobody's told you this lately, it's okay to put the crown down for a moment. It'll still be there when you're ready. Let's talk about love, Leo style. And no, I don't mean the casual "you up" text at 2 a.m. I mean the real thing. When a Leo falls, they don't just fall, they leap, heart first, arms open, with a full brass band playing in the background. They don't send flowers, they send the whole damn botanical garden, with a love note written in calligraphy and maybe a fireworks display, just for good measure. Love, to Leo, is sacred. It's theater. It's war paint and poetry all in one. But in today's swipe left culture, that kind of intensity can feel like too much for people who think intimacy is replying to an Instagram story. From a psychological standpoint, Leo doesn't just like someone, they invest. They devote. They love in full volume, which is beautiful, and also terrifying to the emotionally underdeveloped. That fire burns so hot, it scorches anything fake, and that kind of heat? Well, it tends to make the wrong people run for the hills, clutching their iced lats and commitment issues. Now, here's where it gets real: after heartbreak, Leo doesn't simply put up walls. Oh no, they build flaming barricades, complete with emotional guard dogs and a velvet rope. It's not about shutting love out, it's about protecting what's still tender inside. They're still hopeful, but let's just say they're now checking IDs, credit scores, and emotional resumes before letting anyone in. Fool me once? Shame on you. Fool a Leo? Good luck finding them again. Because when a Leo's heart breaks, it doesn't shatter, it retreats. Quietly. Majestically. They won't chase. They won't beg. They simply vanish, like a golden sunset slipping below the horizon. I've seen it time and again in my years studying this sign. Leos walk away from betrayal with the stillness of a Buddhist monk. But don't let the calm fool you, that silence? That's pain wearing its most graceful disguise. So the next time you're loved by a Leo, honor it. Cherish it. Because it's not just affection, it's a once-in-a-lifetime wildfire. And if you're not ready for that kind of heat, step aside, gently. The garden doesn't bloom for everyone. Ah, love, the battlefield where Leos have earned every one of their emotional medals, and maybe a few invisible scars too. Gone are the days when Leo flung their heart at the world like confetti at a parade. These days, that same golden heart is still there, just now it's kept behind a velvet rope, flanked by velvet security, and yes, there may or may not be emotional fire alarms that go off if someone even thinks about breaking trust. You see, Leo's not bitter. They're just upgraded. Like love's gone from a free-for-all music festival to a guest list-only jazz lounge. But here's the cosmic kicker: in the year of triumph 2025, something sacred is shifting. Leos are starting to trust again. Not the naive, wide-eyed kind of trust that hands over the keys and says drive. No, this time it's a quieter, braver trust, one that knows the terrain, but still chooses to walk the road. As any Buddhist might tell you, true courage isn't about never being hurt, it's about keeping your heart open after you've been. And let's be clear, the flame inside Leo never really goes out. Even after the heartbreak, even after betrayal, they still believe in love. But now, they're not just looking for someone who makes their heart race. They want someone who stays. Someone who doesn't shrink in the heat of Leo's passion, but stands tall in it. Because real love? It's not afraid of fire, it learns to dance with it. But perhaps the greatest tragedy of all is this: sometimes Leo's brilliance, their light, their charisma, their sheer solar presence, makes others feel small. And rather than step up, some people just try to dim the Leo down. It's not that Leo is too much, it's that others came to a bonfire wearing dollar store sunglasses and then blamed the sun for shining. So here's the truth from someone who's studied these majestic beings for decades: Leo's light isn't the issue. Never was. The problem? Most folks simply don't know how to bask in it without getting sunburned. Let's talk about something that hits Leo deep, not just in the heart, but in the soul. Shrinking. Now, if you know Leos like I do, and trust me, after decades of studying these celestial lions, I really do, then you know asking a Leo to tone themselves down is like asking the sun to only shine on weekends. It hurts. It goes against their very nature. But too often, Leo learns that being their full, radiant self makes others uncomfortable. So what do? They shrink. Not because they want to, but because somewhere along the way, someone they loved flinched at their brightness. And let me tell you, for a Leo, dimming their light just to be accepted feels less like compromise and more like slow spiritual suffocation. Now let's clear something up while we're here. People love to call Leo prideful. But Leo's pride? It's not vanity, it's armor. Forged in the fires of rejection, betrayal, and years of silently being the rock for everyone else. That kind of pride isn't about ego, it's about survival. It says, I've been let down enough times to know I better hold myself together because no one else will. Sound familiar? Yeah. That's not a diva, that's a damn warrior in Gucci. But here's the twist. Even warriors need rest. Even lions need shade. As the Buddha said, you, yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. Chosen ones, hear me clearly, strength doesn't mean you never fall apart. It means you have the courage to be real when you do. The tragedy? Leos give so much, laughter, loyalty, light, that people forget they might need those very things in return. They're the friend who lifts everyone's spirits and then goes home wondering, would anyone carry me if I couldn't stand today? And that lonely question, is the silent ache no one sees behind the Leo smile. So if you've got a Leo in your life, here's your reminder: don't just bask in their glow. Show up when the lights dim, too. Because even stars need someone to look up at them sometimes. Ah, the Leo smile, bright enough to light up a stadium, loud enough to make it feel like everything's okay. But let's talk truth for a moment, from someone who's spent a lifetime decoding the cosmic theater of the Zodiac and peering into the hidden corridors of the human psyche. Sometimes, that laughter? It's a mask. Not a cheap plastic one either, no, this is a Broadway-grade, spotlight-ready performance. Leos are masters of joy, but that doesn't mean they're immune to sorrow. In fact, sometimes the loudest laugh in the room is echoing off walls of silence no one else can hear. It's a strange paradox, being the life of the party while secretly feeling like a ghost in the crowd. You see, Leo doesn't actually crave applause. What they crave is connection. Not likes, not claps, not being the center of attention for attention's sake, but being seen, noticed, witnessed. There's a sacred place behind those golden eyes, a quiet realm where they tuck away their real self, the one that's softer, quieter, maybe even scared. And they're not asking for a fan club. They're asking for someone who'll pull up a chair backstage, sit beside them, and say, you don't have to perform for me. Now here's the kicker: in a world full of noise, tweets, reels, hot takes, and filters, Leo often chooses solitude not out of bitterness, but wisdom. Like a lion surveying the savannah, they'd rather lounge alone in peace than roar among people who don't speak their language. Quality over quantity, every time. And you know what? That's not cold. That's clarity. So if you ever wonder why the most magnetic person in the room sometimes slips away early or keeps parts of themselves guarded, just remember, it's not because they don't want love. It's because they want the real thing. And until that shows up, Leo will keep shining, solo if necessary, but never small. And yes, underneath all that radiant confidence, even Leos occasionally sit in their pajamas at 2 a.m. wondering if someone will ever love the version of them that isn't holding the world together. The answer? They will. In the year of triumph 2025, the spotlight's shifting, and this time, it's shining on the soul, not just the sparkle. After everything they've been through, let me tell you something about Leo, they no longer toss their heart like confetti into the wind, hoping someone catches it with clean hands. No, those days are gone. Leo has learned, often the hard way, that love isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. These days, love must show up, speak through action, and walk its talk like it means it. No more glittery promises or poetic texts at 2 a.m. If you want a Leo's heart now, you'd better bring receipts. And yet, here's the paradox, while Leo's heart has grown more guarded, it hasn't grown cold. Those majestic walls they've built? They're not meant to shut love out, they're meant to protect the sacred within. But even the fiercest lion wonders. Are these walls sheltering me or slowly suffocating me? Still, until the right soul comes knocking, not pounding, but gently, consistently, with presence, that gate stays closed. Here's the beautiful part no one sees, in solitude, Leo returns home to themselves. Away from the noise, the expectations, the applause, they finally hear their own voice. And not the one trained to entertain the world, but the quiet one. The wise one. The self that exists even when no one's watching. That's where the real healing begins, not to shine brighter for others, but to warm their own soul. And oh, the flame. You see, Leos are ruled by the sun, but even stars need to refuel. In the year of triumph 2025, Leo isn't burning out for anyone. They're reclaiming their energy, not to be hard, but to be whole. They're learning that love shouldn't be a stage performance, but a sacred exchange. No more clapping on cue. No more dancing for applause. Now, Leo shines when they choose. Not when the world demands it. Here's the funny truth, if you want a Leo to sparkle again, don't crowd the stage. Light one next to them. Match their fire, don't try to steal it. And please, never tell a Leo to calm down. That's like telling the sun to dim for your sunglasses. Maybe it's not Leo who's too much. Maybe it's your vision that needs adjusting. And so, in this sacred pause before the next great love, Leo isn't wilting, they're preparing. Preparing not just to be adored for the glow, but to be loved in the rebuild, the rebirth, and yes, even in the ashes. Because Leo doesn't just want romance, they want resurrection. So if you're lucky enough to be loved by a Leo, here's the deal, don't run from their intensity. Rise to it. Nurture it. Protect it like it's a fire from the gods. Because even the brightest sun needs rest. Even the strongest lion needs a safe den. And to all you radiant Leos out there, don't wait for permission to live fully. This is your year, your triumph, your moment to laugh louder, love deeper, and dance like no one's drafting your astrology chart. If this message resonated, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Golden Fortune Leo, where your light is always welcome, and your story is sacred. Now go on, Leo, the world doesn't just need your light. It needs your truth.